Hey guys, and welcome back to another coding bootcamp vlog. So we are getting more towards the end of the coding bootcamp, which is actually so sad because I really enjoyed it and I'm just gonna miss it, guys. It was so nice to have a purpose here and to learn how to code again and to learn a lot more. It is something that I have missed so much and I wasn't quite ready to go back to university yet, so this was just such a great stepping stone for me. But anyway, so it is now week 9. Halloween is actually just around the corner. I just completed Hacktoberfest actually. I got myself a cup of coffee and I will go over with you guys what I learned on week 9. Okay, so I learned more about what pull requests are for GitHub and how they work and just practicing how to do them and resolve them and all that stuff. So anytime I was working on something new, I would just make a new branch on Git and then I will commit a bunch of code on there until the reviewer decides they want to push it to the master branch. Now, if you don't know what GitHub is or you don't know how to use Git, so I knew what GitHub was before I started this bootcamp, but to be honest, I didn't really know anything except like a few commands and like I just didn't really understand like how it works and stuff. But after this coding bootcamp, I just feel like I know so much more. So if you want me to make like a little crash course for complete beginners, let me know. I think that'll be a fun video to make after this. So I like the whole idea of making new branches for things, so that way it's much easier to control the different versions of code that you have. And I like how it's set up in GitHub with pull requests because I'm literally making a request to push code. So that's a neat little thing that I learned. To be honest, I was really hoping this week that I could work more on JavaScript because I already know HTML and CSS and, you know, it's just troubleshooting, like whatever, I can figure that out. But I wanted to learn more JavaScript, to be honest, especially since we're working on Vue.js and I just don't know when's like the next time I can get more tutoring and something like this in the future. But today we just had bigger, different things we had to work on. So unfortunately, I didn't get to do really any JavaScript at all and I was kind of sad about that. I should have said something at the beginning like, okay, I really want to do JavaScript because that's something I'm still such a noob at and I want to learn more. I want to get more exposure to it. Like I definitely learn by doing. You know, I can take as many online courses as I want, but I feel like I'm not actually going to click and grow from it unless I can actually practice it, you know? But it seemed like we had our hands full, so I was understanding. But at least next week, this next coming up week, I get to work on it more, so that's good. And we are falling a little bit behind schedule right now. Like we only have 3 weeks left until the project has to be done and we're really far away. So I think this is where I'm starting to feel more of like the real life developer pressure that a lot of web developers seem to get and engineers, that it just seems like that on the job, it seems like it's always like the last few weeks or last little percentage of time that it's like really crunch time and you have to like work overtime and all that. So personally, this whole week I've been just going to different cafes with my laptop or just sitting at home or whatever, and I've just been coding as much as I can, committing as much as I can. I've been trying to fix as many problems as I can, especially when it comes to like positioning and making my page more responsive. And then I was running into problems and I had to recode things and things got messy this week, but I'm glad that I managed to figure things out. I have to get with my coaches so that we can discuss some of the issues I'm having. But so another thing that I was learning more about is how Vue Awesome, or I guess Font Awesome, how it works with Vue. That's something I kind of worked with in the past, but I was having some problems with getting like a Facebook logo. So at the end of the quiz, when the customers or the users, I mean, so once they're at the end of the quiz, they have an option to download their results like in a graph, or they have the option to share it on Facebook. So I was having troubles getting the Facebook logos, so that was really racking my brain. So for those of you that use Vue.js and you want to import an icon, just remember remember that in the actual like icon class name, you have to put brands / and then Facebook or whatever the name of the actual logo is that you're using. And that was so confusing. Nowhere was really written that well. I had to read in some Q&A questionnaire somewhere, and it was really annoying. So I just want to save some of you guys the stress if you are going through something like that. Yeah. And I learned more about box sizing. I was having some problems when I was coding the graph because it just wasn't lining up with like just the rest of the page, and a lot of things were being misplaced and stuff like that. So I just found out about this new CSS property that I wanted to talk and share with you guys, and it is called box sizing. So what box sizing is, it defines the vertical or horizontal size of an elements block. So it's great for when I want to include the padding and margins to be the total size of the block. So that way the margins or padding don't overrule that part. Everything's just kind of constrained strictly. So I use border box as the attribute, so that way it'll be the same size as the other divs I created. That was really helpful and useful for making a graph that looks like this, and it looks easy, but it was not that easy. I also discovered the calc function because I was going back and forth between the mockup and using the exact dimensions of different, I don't know, like the distance between text and like another element and all that, and sometimes I had to use the calc function, which was very useful. So the calc function is just solving a math problem. You basically put two values that can either be added, subtracted, multiplied, divided. But if I have a number that I'm using often, like for example, I know that all of these divs need to be like, I don't know, 150 pixels away from this other div, but sometimes the way it's positioned, then like it needs to subtract the okay, that's a bad example. I guess a good example is like a navigation bar at the top. Like let's say it's 300 pixels high, but you're like setting up the margin or the padding of maybe some text, and you know the exact height of the nav bar or like the navigation at the top. You just want to calculate, and you know the exact space from the nav bar to the actual contents. Instead of doing that math, you can just put that calc function. So I had no idea that CSS could take functions. So going back to the graph, it was a little bit difficult making it through CSS because especially when I got to positive and negative values, I was having one going one direction, one the other. Now we don't have the actual data yet or the equation, or that needs to be imported later. So I'm hoping that whatever I coded won't be that difficult for someone, and I'm hoping that's me actually, because I understand what I did there, but like someone else were to read it, like I hope they can just import the numbers easily, so that way the length and the size of the bars on the graph corresponds with that. I already tried like some dummy data and it seemed to work out okay, but you don't actually know until you have the real data. So yeah, that's what I basically did. I worked with a lot of CSS positioning. That's basically what I did the whole time, but I'm really hoping that by next week I can actually start to maybe code some methods that pulls the calculated results and generates it into a graph. So I'm gonna request if I can work on that next week. But yeah, that's what I did. I've just been spending the whole time working on CSS positioning basically. Not much else. That's all I learned for this week. I feel like I'm finally getting faster at it, because before I had to constantly like look up the different CSS properties and attributes and what do they mean, but now I can kind of just look at something and be like, oh, I'm going to use this property with this attribute, and then it should do this and this, and then it should affect this div this way. And I just like them starting to finally think that way, because before I was just kind of like, I don't know what to do. I think I know CSS and HTML, but not really. So it was good. Like I feel like I'm at a level now where I feel like I probably take on some sort of job and feel comfortable with learning, because I feel like I'm at the point now where like I just feel like I can learn things quickly. So that's why I really want to jump into JavaScript now. Well, back into it again, because I was doing a lot of JavaScript in the beginning, but now it's been like CSS and HTML. But yeah, I want to get back into the normal thing now. Also, how did you guys do on Hacktoberfest? So I don't know if I'm getting the free t-shirt, because they said only the first 50,000 people get it, but they haven't announced anywhere that if the 50,000 people have got their shirts already. I don't know how it works, but I'm really hoping I get the shirt. Also, by the time you guys see this video, Halloween will be over, but I still have to wear my Halloween chillin' like a villain shirt. It says black is my coffee. And that's why I'm so fall AF here in my apartment. I mean, I got pumpkin spice candle burning, okay? Is that like, that's like as basic as you can get. Actually, no, I need a pumpkin spice latte, and then that's how basic I can really get. Anyways, that's all for today. Thanks for tuning in to this week's video. I only have 3 more vlogs left. I am so excited. Woo! I'm also sad, but I'm so excited to see how the whole project turns out and how everything unravels. I guess not unravel, but ravels in. Anyways, that's all. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, which, by the way, thank you so much for 2,000 followers. I just hit that the other day, and woo, I just had to say something. So thank you guys so much for following me on there. I will keep posting what I'm up to throughout the week on there until next week. So yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Bye!